Welcome to Megtech. On this video I am going to show how to replace the battery on an iPhone 6. With all repairs, just make sure that the phone is turned off before you go ahead and start dismantling the phone. So on this one I'm just going to turn it off. And then once the phone's turned off, again on this example I'm just going to take the two star screws out from the bottom of the phone. Screw one and screw two. When taking these screws out, just make sure you put the screws somewhere safe, so that they're easy to get to when you come to put the screws back. And make sure that you do not get the screws all mixed up, because it is very difficult to repair the phone afterwards. If you put the screws back in the wrong place, you can actually damage the phone. So I'll go ahead and, using the sucker, I'll put the sucker just above the home button. And what I'm going to do is use my thumb and fingers. I'm just going to hold the frame and pull. And as you can see, there's a gap appearing just along there where I'm pulling the screen. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to use a spudger or separation device. And I'm just going to run the separation device down the side of the screen. Got the one side up. Then I'm going to use it again, and what I'm going to do is go around the other side and just pop it off around the edge. And it's freed up the screen, and then it should open. I'm just going to take the sucker off, it's not needed now. And it should just open up. As you can tell, this has been repaired by ourselves before, and just literally it's working fine, no problem with it whatsoever. All I'm doing this for is just for example purposes only. So anyway, I'll go ahead with the repair, and I'm going to now test the new battery. To do this, I'm going to take the two screws out, which are situated just there and there. The one on the outside is the shortest, the one on the inside nearest the battery is the longest. So again, I'm going to put these screws somewhere safe so I know where they go afterwards. And I'm going to take the metal plate off. And I'm going to disconnect the connector on the inside nearest the battery, which is the battery connector. So he's now disconnected. And all I'm going to do is get the new battery, lay the new battery on top of the old battery, and I'm going to just connect it up and then close the lid, just resting the screen on top, and I'm just going to power it on to make sure that the battery works fine. So the phone is now powered back on. This battery is fine. All I'm going to do now is just turn the phone back off. I now know it works fine. And then opening up the phone again, I'm going to disconnect the battery. I forgot to say, all the time I've been doing this, I have not taken the screen more than 90 degrees. I've always held it in this position and it's never gone any further. If you do go further than 90 degrees, you risk pulling the ribbon cables down here, which will then damage the screen, and then you'll need a new screen afterwards. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect the screen completely from the main phone. There are 5 screws here. It's very important that the screw, which has been removed from whichever hole, goes back in the same hole it came from and not a different hole. If you put the wrong screw in the wrong hole, it will permanently damage the phone and it will not work again afterwards. Reason being that the screws are different lengths, and if you put a longer screw in a hole where it should be a shorter screw, it will go through into the hole and out through the hole and go into the main board and then put a hole through the board. So all I'm trying to say is make sure you put the screws back where they come from. And when I take these screws out, I always make sure that I put them in a pattern so I know which hole they go back to afterwards. So then taking the two bottom ones out, the middle one, top left, and the last one is a long one on the right side. And the metal plate, just take it out and put it near the screws so you know where it goes back. And then I've got to disconnect these ribbon cables on the main board. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So the first one's disconnected, the second one disconnected, third one, and the fourth one. So that just comes away now. Now I've got to pry this battery out. This may be easier than it is from the factory because obviously I've removed this before. So I'm going to go ahead and try and remove the battery. He's been quite stubborn, so what I'm going to try and do with this one is I'm going to heat it up so it's pretty warm. I'm only going to heat down the one side where the battery is situated, and then once I've heated it up for a little while, I'll then come back and I'll carry on removing it. So this battery should come out relatively easily now. That's the battery out. What I also do is I tend to peel all of this adhesive because it's really no use for me to have it in there. So my policy with this is if you're going to take it all out, take everything out. So there's no adhesive left inside there. And then what I do is then I grab my battery that I'm going to put in the phone, take it out of the protective film, put the adhesive strips onto the back of the battery. So I'll go ahead and peel the blue layer off, or the pink layer, whichever's easiest. Blue it is. So I'll left on with the pink. Then what I line up so that the black strips at the end of the pink are just outside of the battery area. What I'm trying to do here is line the strips up so that the black tabs overhang and stick, and they all go around the front of the battery like that when you put it in the phone. So I will go ahead now and peel the pink film off the adhesive strips. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And then putting this in the phone, literally the best policy I can think of is where you got the ribbon cable. This should actually be bent upwards at about 90 degrees. So you kink the cable at the end. So it's like that basically. Then this is the only one attempt to really putting this in the phone. So I'm going to just line it up the best I can and lay it into the phone. And this then should line up roughly with the connection on the board, like so. So that's how it will go. So I won't connect it up quite right now. What I'm going to do now is put the screen back on the phone first, so I can just test the phone afterwards. So I'm going to put the first part of the flex in. It sort of clips in. If you don't hear it clipping in, I would probably take it back off and reseat it, because they should clip. Should all clip in, should all hear a clip. And then the final one, it clips in. So I just close the lid and just power it on again to make sure it works. Put the battery in first. So I'll just wait for him to boot up and make sure it works properly. So the phone's back on. Again, I'm just testing the screen to make sure the screen works. It works fine. Battery seems okay again. So I'll go and just turn the screen off. So my next job is to just put the metal plate and then the 5 screws back into here to hold the connections in place. So I'll go ahead and do that. That's a metal plate. You just try and line the screw holes back up with a metal plate, holding the screen at 90 degrees. And then using the Phillips screwdriver, I'm just going to put the bottom right screw in first. So he's back in, and it's bottom left. Then the middle one. Then the top left corner. And then the top right one. And I'm gonna, if you can see on the battery adhesive, there are some little blue little tabs at the end. What you do is you just peel the blue bit off. So I'm peeling these little blue tabs off, the adhesive. So once you've done that, all you do is you stick the tabs down on top of the battery. And then the final step is to put the metal plate back on to where the battery connector is. And then just using the 2 screws that they came out, long one on the inside, short one on the outside of the phone. So the long one nearest the battery, and the short one furthest from the battery. And then closing the lid, or screen I should say, you've got to hook the little, it's like a little lip at the end of the screen. The lips are supposed to say the little anchor points. They get hook into the frame. So you have to push up and hook it into the frame, and then you just basically push either side of the screen all the way down to the bottom. And then you basically just put the 2 security screws back in the bottom of the phone. So these are the 2 security screws. Number 1 and number 2. Done. And that's the replacing the battery.